Hello
guys.
guys, hope you are all doing great. You are welcome once again to another exciting video. So if you are not new to my channel, I believe you know Becca. We've done a lot of videos, and the reason why I've called her today was in my previous video I mentioned that she's definitely going to come on my channel again and we're going to discuss another exciting topic. So she's called Becca. She's also a registered nurse, currently practicing in the UK. She's also got a YouTube channel. She's done amazing work over there. So if you've not watched her videos before, I will entreat you to go and watch her videos. I'll leave her channel name in the video description. I came across this news headline on BBC, and it was so shocking, so sad. And the reason why I feel like I need to invite my friend Becca for us to discuss this issue, because she's also a registered nurse. She's got experience in childcare, and she has her children here in the UK. And this issue is about a nurse who left her baby, went to work, and then came back, and the baby was unresponsive. The reason why we are discussing this topic is not to backlash the nurse who did this, but because we are also nurses, we can really relate to the stress involved in this nursing profession. And even combining that with childcare is very, very difficult. Like I said, it's not to put any blame on this nurse, but just to bring out this issue of what is going on with childcare issues. And if you are yet to come to the UK, and if you have children, or if you plan to have children in the future, if you arrive, this will be an eye-opener for you to be very, very careful when it comes to issues with childcare, because UK government, they do not play with children at all. I'm just going to read just a brief of the highlights in this news headline so that at least you know what we are really going to talk about. It says a nurse whose baby died after she left him alone, jailed. So a nurse whose 10-week-old baby died after she left him alone to go to work has been jailed. This nurse left the baby in a nursing accommodation. This nurse left the 10-week-old baby in the nurse's accommodation and returned 8 hours later. She called the ambulance, reporting her son was not breathing. He was pronounced dead despite several attempts to resuscitate him. So briefly, this lady left the 10-week-old baby. So 10 weeks is like 2 months and 2 weeks. So it's such a very, very tiny baby. She left this baby, 10 weeks old baby, to go to work. By the time she came, the baby was unresponsive. She called the ambulance. They came in. They tried several times to resuscitate the baby, but the baby was pronounced dead upon arrival at the hospital. The first thing that will come into your mind is, what will make somebody leave a 10-week-old baby, a helpless 10-week-old baby, to go to work? As a registered nurse, you should know better that even our own patients that we don't know, we never take our eyes off them. And even on the ward, if you have to go for break, you need to hand over your patients to another nurse so that they can keep an eye on them whilst you're on break. So what will make a nurse who is expected to know better leave their own 10-week poor, helpless, innocent baby home to go to work? So Becca, I do not know what you think, but I was shocked when I saw this news. You might think there's actually something wrong with this lady, but like you said, you only understand if you really get personal with this person to know exactly what actually happened or what will make her do such a thing. Becca, what do you think about it? Because I know you've got much experience regarding children, childcare, and everything. That's why I invited you, just so that you give your input, and then it will be like a form of advice to people who are also having difficulties or challenges regarding childcare.
I think thank you so much, Diana, and your viewers for having me here. I think first of all, as she said, the purpose of this video is not to make us feel better or to think that she was, she's done the worst thing that nobody can ever do. Actually, I can personally relate. Being in a foreign country and having a child, not to even think about having a child in the country without any support system, is really, really difficult. However, one thing that we fail to understand, especially as registered nurses, is that everything you do, even outside of work, is professionally tied to you, and it is bound to affect your practice or your license to practice here in the UK. It doesn't matter whether you did this thing outside of work, if it is something that's got to do with vulnerable people or any act of omission or commission, even if it happened outside of your workplace, once it is reported, it can affect your license to practice. And also, don't ever think that your job or your patient is important than your family. Never. The UK embraces a system of, this family orientation, and so they understand the challenges and the difficulty of any individual trying to raise another individual, which is a child, who doesn't have control over themselves or over their lives and need an adult to supervise them. So looking at the lady's story, first of all, that baby is just 10 weeks. If you look at the story, that baby she left in the room is 10 weeks old. So technically, this baby is 2 months and 2 weeks. That is so tiny, a human being to live unsupervised. Because according to the country's legislation, when you read online, you will know there is no appropriate age to say you can leave a child or you shouldn't leave a child. However, if a child is below 16 years, they are still considered as, people who cannot be left without the supervision of an adult. You can't leave such an individual. Not to think about a baby, a 2 months, 2 weeks baby, which is a 10 weeks baby on his or her own and go to work. So that is the first place where she fell short. Secondly, if you read the article to the bottom part, she had a nanny or she had a childminder who was helping her to look after the child. But nobody said, or she didn't say why she didn't take the baby to the childminder on that particular day and why she decided to leave that baby in the room and go to work. What I have been made to understand over my 4 years of being in the UK is that family is very important. And if you have issues, at home or domestic issues that prevents you from committing to your work, you should be able to speak to your line manager. So she didn't take the baby to the child minder on that particular day. She decided to leave this baby and go to work for an 8-hour shift. The third thing is that when she realized her shortfall, she's called for help, which was the ambulance. And then they pronounced the child dead. But she knew that she has done something wrong. So she lied and said to them that she left the baby for the childminder. One thing about the UK that they embrace or they love is transparency, which is called the duty of conduct, which as nurses, we know that we have promised to be responsible people and to uphold to this duty of conduct, which says that you should be open and honest about anything that happens. So there and then she failed because she lied that she left the baby for the childminder. Then they called the childminder and asked her, and she said she hasn't seen the baby for 3 days. Then to make it even worse, when she realized that all things have failed her, she decided to leave the country. So at the airport, she was caught. So duty of conduct, honesty, everything breach.
Becca, I agree with you on you mentioned the fact that you have to be transparent and honest. If you are struggling with childcare or with anything else, you really have to talk to somebody. You have to seek support. So, and even to make matters worse, although she called the ambulance, when she realized that, she was really, really in big trouble, the article goes on further to say that he tried to flee the country after pleading guilty to child cruelty at an earlier court hearing, and he was jailed for 3 years.
One thing we should know is that this thing is going to be on her DBS. So even after she comes out from serving her time in prison, it is on your DBS. You can no longer work with vulnerable children and adults. In fact, you can't look after people anymore. So anything that's got to do with care, nursing, healthcare, school, looking after a child, anything that's got to do with school, healthcare is gone. You can't do any of these jobs. So she has ruined her whole profession and her life to an extent. It's going to be on your record, on your license. But once you decide to bring a child into the world, especially in a country like UK, you should be able and ready to be financially and physically ready to support this child. Otherwise, it's better you didn't bring up the child at all, because you either lose the child to the systems, and that is why you hear a lot of people have lost their case to the social services, and you think that, it's just a saying. People are just saying it. It is real.
Thank you so much, Becca, for sharing your experience, and I'm really glad to have you on board because of your extensive experience regarding childcare, because I don't know, you are really, really doing a good job navigating your way around this nursing profession with 3 children. Most people are not aware of some of the support systems that are available in the UK regarding childcare. So maybe if this lady knew of these options, she would have opted for those options rather than leaving this innocent baby to die. So I don't know the shift pattern of this particular nurse in question, but if you are struggling with childcare, there are so many flexible working options that you can discuss with your manager. The problem with us, most immigrants are always scared of voicing our concerns or even seeking help when we need it. But one thing that children in this country are taught is to be very, very bold, be confident, seek for help when needed. Most people back home, when they arrive in the UK, that confidence is not there. So even if they need support, they just hide and then they just suffer in silence. And this could actually be the reason why this lady had this issue. So some of the ways of going around it is discussing flexible working options with your manager so that at least you would have that time to navigate the childcare around with your family members or with your partner, your husband, your spouse, or whoever it is that you have that support with. And if there's nothing that your manager can do to support you, you can as well look for other jobs. You don't necessarily need to stay in one job when you do not have that support.
Exactly.
Because the last thing you want is to lose your job and to lose your baby at the same time. So this lady, she's lost her son, she's lost her job, and she's lost her reputation as a nurse. And that's one thing you do not even want to have on your DBS or your police reports. This record is going to be on her file forever. And this is something you do not want at all. So apart from discussing flexible options or even leaving and finding more suitable jobs, if you can afford, you can also think of taking your child to a nursery before you go to work. In the hospital I work in, there's a nursery for staff. They deduct the fee from your salary. So even before you get your salary, the nursery fee has been taken off. So you just send your child to the nursery. So if your hospital happens to have this nursery support, just enroll on it just to save yourself the time. When you know you are on the ward, your baby is well looked after. So at least you have that peace of mind to do your work. At least you are sure that somebody is looking after your child for you. Becca, is there any other like support for someone who has a child or struggling with childcare?
Just to add to the nursery, well, let me talk about it in the childminder, right? So we've got a childminder where you pay somebody to look after the child for you, not necessarily a nursery. Some people have registered themselves with Ofsted. Make sure that the childminder are looking for is Ofsted registered and have a DBS. Yeah. So some people even do it in their homes where they receive babies from birth to 15 years to 13 years. And how you can find some of these childminders is by going onto your council's website. They have attached themselves to the councils. They've got their own profile portal and everything. You can click on it, read about them, get to know their location, the fees they charge. Those that register with the council, sometimes their fees are a bit lower than going the private. Those that have their own like private registration where they've attach themselves with other agencies, they charge a bit more. So if you want the cheaper option, you can go for the childminder. Some of the childminders also have flexible, childcare packages for mothers. Some do nights, overnight, where they can look for after your baby overnight for you to go for a night shift. Some do weekends, some do school runs, some do within school when every child is in school, so you have to look at their packages and look at what works for you. Another thing is also to share the responsibility with your partner. So if you've got a partner, husband, wife, come together, look at the shift patterns that work best for you, especially if you are health workers. We've got the nights, we've got the weekends, we've got the 8-hour shift. Some trusts do 8-hour shifts where you can do 8 hours, or 9 to 5. Look for something that works for your family commitment, where you and your partner can shuffle the child care responsibility between the two of you. Sometimes this also saves a lot of money. It saves you from paying another person to look after your child for you. Another thing you can do is the mother-to-mother support or family-to-family support. So we have families who are also struggling just like you and I, who need somebody to help them look after their children. Maybe this husband and wife, their work shift pattern is such a way that they don't have any flexibility around to maneuver their childcare. You and your husband also have the same challenge. You can come together and talk like family to family, look at where you are struggling, they'll look at where you are struggling and try and find a compromise, try and find a way of coming. It really helps. I have used it before. So I associated myself with another family who was also in my child's school. They have a child in my child's school, and one of their sons is in my daughter's class. So we came together and they were supporting me to, do the school runs for me. And when I also have time, I also accommodate their children here in my house for them to go about their businesses. So like, don't suffer in silence, because sometimes we are used to the fact that, oh, nobody's going to help me. No. You will be surprised that if you open your mouth and you ask for help, you will definitely get somebody to support and to help you. Another one is to bring in a family member from overseas to come and help you. You qualify as a skilled worker to bring anybody you want on a visitor's visa, right? So cast your mind back. You have family back home. You've got your mom, your dad, your aunties, uncles. Look in your family, your cousins, your friends. It could be anybody. Give that person a visitor's visa. If you think you can even do the 5 years visitor's visa, you can do it. 2 years visitor's visa, you can do it. 6 months visitor's visa, you can do it. And they will come and support you. If you do the 5 years one or the 2 years one, they need to come, and every 6 months they need to go and come back again, It really, really helps you to even save money. The last option, the last resort, if you don't have any, you've tried all of this, is not working, is to take that child back home. I know some people are against this. They feel like, oh my God, this is so cruel for you to take a child back home. But do what works for you. You know, in this life, anything you do, people will talk. However, you have to look at your personal circumstances, assess yourself, and do what works for you. I have a friend who gave birth here. She already had 2 kids back home, and she gave birth to 1 child here. Her mother brought the 2 kids to her. They came for 6 months. She wasn't coping. She added the baby to the 2 kids and gave them back to the mom to take them back to Ghana. That is what works for she and the husband. So look at yourself and do what works for you. If that is what works for you, you have somebody who is reliable, who can support you back home. Take that child back home and let them help you to look after the child. Don't be in that dark space where you feel like you don't have any support, you are trapped, you feel so helpless. Seek for help, reach out and get that support that you need.
I think I agree with you on, sending the child back home. Just look at what works best for you. Like Becca said, imagine having a child with you with no support and then finding yourself in this situation and then ending up in prison. I don't think that's what you really want. So it may be tough for you to make that decision initially, but then in the long run, it will work best for you. So when you feel like you are okay, you have that support, then you can bring them back. So Becca, what's your final word for somebody who is even thinking of coming to the UK, has kids, or even thinking of, having kids when they get here? You've talked a lot about the system or the support that people have. What about those who are yet to come to the UK? What advice would you give to them if they've got young kids?
I would say that the reason why we migrate, most of us, or myself as an example, is because of my kids. Looking at the future of the kids, that's why we are all struggling to get them to that bright future. So if your kids are the reason why you are making this move and you are striving to make their life better, let them be your priority. At the same time, make good plans for them that you will not lose them in a result of or in a process of making their life better. You rather end up losing that child. That is not what you want. So put in better plans. The Bible says that when the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen. So when you are wanting to make that move, pray, plan, and tell God that when it is right, make it happen. And when you are ready to move, assess yourself, assess your situation, make good plans. Because now, one of the reasons why UKVI is refusing visa to especially single parents is because of some of these reasons, because they bring the kids here, no proper child care plan in place, no proper care package, nothing. The kids are just coming, they lose them to society, and lots of societal and childcare issues in UK now. And that is why some of these immigrations are becoming tough by the day. So if you don't have appropriate plan, please leave those kids back home, because they're the ones you are coming to suffer for. Don't come and lose them in the process. No, if you really know deep within your heart you don't have that appropriate childcare, leave them back home. Come first, sort yourself out, know the system, and then do what works for you.
So I hope you found this video very, very useful, because childcare issues are issues that are really getting people into trouble day in, day out. So I hope you've taken some value or advice from this video, whether you are in the UK or yet to migrate to the UK and you have children or planning to have children in the future. I'll be very happy if you could put in the comment section whatever it is that you are doing that is helping you with childcare, how you are navigating your way around looking after children plus going to work. If you've had any experience that you'd want to share, please feel free to put it in the comment section. I'm going to invite Becca again to discuss another interesting topic. So if you've not subscribed to the channel yet, and if you found this video very useful, I will entreat you to consider subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to share this video with others. I will see you again in the next video. Bye-bye.